Hi, and welcome back to the channel. This is going to be about the 5 precepts, the 5 Buddhist precepts that everyone who calls him or herself a Buddhist is supposed to keep. Now, I think that if you practice Mahayana Buddhism or Vajrayana Buddhism, then you might hardly have heard of the 5 precepts, especially if you're a Westerner practicing in these traditions. I think the 5 precepts are rarely emphasized. I'm not sure if they are emphasized much in the original countries that practice Mahayana, Vajrayana, but in the teachings to Westerners, not really very much, I think. But if you're a Buddhist, any type of Buddhist, you should really be keeping these 5 precepts as your basis of morality, and they are very important because they are said to be an important foundation for meditation practice. So maybe your meditation will not be very good if you're not keeping the basics of morality, which is what these precepts are supposed to help you to do. So I also think that many Western Buddhists who practice in traditions outside the Theravada probably couldn't even say what they are. They might guess some of them: don't kill, don't steal. But let's look at them individually and see what they actually mean. They're more difficult than it seems at first glance. So, first one is don't kill. It seems easy enough because not many people are going around murdering. But it's probably more difficult than it seems, or it is more difficult than it seems, because what it is saying is don't kill anything. So if you like to get the insect spray out on a difficult day when there are lots of mosquitoes around, or ants or something, beetles, cockroaches, if you like to get the spray out and kill them all, then that's breaking the precept. You can't really do that. That's killing. So you have to think of creative ways to deal with it. The Dalai Lama says keep your place clean, and that will mostly deal with the problem. I have known Buddhists seeking out insect repellents instead of sprays that kill. So it's not easy, and even in Buddhist countries, I think probably most people, if they have an insect problem, will just use an insect killer, and they seem to sell as well in Buddhist countries as they do anywhere else. But according to the letter of the precept, it's being broken if you kill insects or anything. Next one is don't steal. So again, it seems pretty straightforward. Don't steal, but it's not as straightforward as it seems. It also says don't take what's not freely given. So if you're staying with a friend and the friend is out, do you want to borrow something, then you shouldn't really do it because it's not being freely given. You have to wait until the friend comes back and get permission. That's the idea of the alms round in the Theravada countries, where the monks go around and the local people feed them, give them food. They do it willingly. The monks don't ask for food. The people give it to them, and that creates a connection between the lay people and the monks, and it creates a very cohesive society. So not only don't steal, but don't take what isn't freely given. The next one, don't lie, would appear to be fairly straightforward. Don't lie, but of course most people lie all the time in one form or another, and particularly white lies are justified. So if somebody is very sick and maybe going to die, they ask, what's my health situation? Am I going to be okay? You can't really say to them, yes, everything is fine, and keep the precept. You can find creative ways. You don't have to tell them everything all the time. You can find creative ways to get around it. Probably the person doesn't really want to know, so it's easy to divert them along other pathways. But you can't just tell a white lie and say, yes, you're fine. If that's not true, you're breaking the precept if you do that. So the next one is no sexual misconduct. That's might seem to be the most difficult, but actually in some ways it could be the easiest, because I think in most Buddhist circles it's taken to mean just no adultery, or perhaps in a modern context, don't break up established relationships. So, probably most people are not involved in doing that most of the time. If you do, then you're breaking the precept, but probably anything else goes, more or less. And the last one is probably the most difficult for Westerners to accept. No alcohol and no drugs. Well, probably most people are not taking drugs, but the alcohol is something else. So many social drinkers out there, especially middle class Buddhists who like a glass of wine with their meal and so on and so forth. Well, that's breaking the precept. And the idea is that to be mindful, you can't really drink alcohol because it clouds the mind, it makes you careless, and it's the opposite of mindfulness. You can't be mindful and have a befogged mind at the same time. So alcohol produces an effect that is the opposite of mindfulness. You become careless in all sorts of ways, so that's the reason for it. However, most Westerners probably do find it very, very difficult to keep. People who like their beer, people who like their wine, people who like their spirits, what you do at Christmas, what you do at New Year, what you do on your birthday. So it's often just not spoken about very much, and as a kind of joke, some Westerners and others talk about the 4 precepts instead of the 5 precepts, but it's definitely one of the precepts, and as a Buddhist you're expected to keep it. So these precepts are important because they are taken to be the foundation of morality, or sila in Pali. That is going to be the foundation for your mindfulness and meditation practices. So without this foundation, probably the idea is probably you can't progress very far. Like I say, these precepts are not emphasized too much to Westerners in the Mahayana Vajrayana tradition, but in the Theravada tradition they're absolutely central, and even in the other forms of Buddhism they're there and should be observed. It's just that most people don't seem to talk about them very much, and in general Mahayana Buddhism tends to be more flexible in this way than Theravada Buddhism. But that's not to say that these precepts are not important. There too they are, but people just find a way around them. But the Theravada tradition would say that you can't and shouldn't do that. So that's the 5 precepts, and these precepts should be kept by every Buddhist in terms of anyone who wants to call themselves a Buddhist. Then the 5 precepts are of central importance, as are the 4 Noble Truths and the Eightfold Path. So again, how many Mahayana Vajrayana Buddhists could actually tell us what are the 4 Noble Truths and what is the Eightfold Path? They know roughly, but they know some of them, but I'm not sure that most of them could just reel them off very, very easily. They'd probably miss 1 or 2, because again, they're not really emphasized very much in the Mahayana Vajrayana tradition, which is so popular in the West. But again, any Buddhist should know these things. They should know the Four Noble Truths, they should know the Eightfold Path, they should know the 5 precepts, they should know the 5 hindrances. These are all basic things that all Buddhists should know. So I guess the moral is, before getting involved in difficult practices, make sure that you're keeping the precepts and you know what the basics are about the Four Noble Truths, the Eightfold Path, the 5 hindrances. So I'll probably talk about these things, the Four Noble Truths, the Eightfold Path to Enlightenment, and the 5 hindrances in other videos. So thanks for listening today, and I hope that what I said has been useful. Thanks.